Phew-wee. There's a lot of consternation in Tuscaloosa, Alabama right now as Nick Saban retired, and they've got to figure out who's going to be the next coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. I want to posit one extra name that is not being talked about, but could potentially be somebody very involved in the process. Maybe he warrants a phone call. I don't know. He's a complete maverick and wild card. Yes, I'm talking about Deion Sanders. I know it didn't come together on the football field necessarily for the Colorado Buffaloes this past season. They went 4-8, ended up having a few boo-boos down the stretch of the season, getting smacked around a couple times. Oregon had their way with them. They didn't have the players. They didn't have the dudes. And they brought in some flash and sizzle with Travis Hunter, with Shedeur Sanders. But they weren't good on the lines of scrimmage. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't defend the run. And ultimately, it was a 4-8 season for Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes. But it was a massive improvement because the year prior, they won one game. They were 1-11, and they improved to 4-8. Obviously, not a finished product yet, but one thing that Deion Sanders did that I think could be worth a phone call is that he created hype around a program that was unhypeable prior to Deion getting there. Colorado was completely irrelevant. He put them on the face of the map. If you go to this time last season, or I should say right before the season last year, if you were to look up the most popular videos on YouTube around college football, they are all Deion Sanders related. He made Colorado football relevant. And not that Alabama needs a coach to make them relevant, but I do think that Deion Sanders, in a different way than Nick Saban did, keeps Alabama in the limelight. I don't know exactly what coach Alabama is going to be looking for. I don't know if they're going to look for the safe guy. But if you're going to go out on a limb, potentially Deion Sanders is a guy that they could go and give a phone call to. Deion hasn't been in a program like this, like Alabama before, a program that's resourced, that routinely recruits five-star players, that routinely has a top 2 team in the talent composite on 247 Sports. But what we have seen with Deion is, one, he can recruit. He recruited his tail off. He flipped Travis Hunter from Florida State to Jackson State. Obviously recruited his son, but he's gotten in players like Cormani McClain at corner for Colorado. 5 stars left, right, and center. He got Jordan Seaton in this cycle, the left tackle, to go to Colorado. Deion is made the right stuff when it comes to recruiting. Nobody can recruit like Deion. We know that. Is the other stuff the right stuff for potentially Alabama to give a look to Deion Sanders? I don't know. In case it were to come true, I want to throw it out there. Deion Sanders potentially could be a target for Alabama as they're trying to acquire their next head coach. I pulled up Sportsline odds for who the next coach will be, because Vegas tends to tell you everything you need to know about these sort of situations. Deion Sanders comes in at plus 2,500 to be the coach. Dan Lanning, you can cross him out at the top there. He's already said he will not take the job. Lane Kiffin, James Franklin, Dabo Swinney on there. I don't know. I don't know about Lane Kiffin fit in Alabama, to be totally honest with you. James Franklin, don't see him getting a nod. Dabo Swinney doesn't really feel like Alabama. So take this list with a grain of salt. It's what I found on a quick search out there on the internet. Right now, plus 2,500 on Sportsline odds for Deion Sanders to get the job. Who knows? Frankly, I don't think it'll happen. But if it does, don't say I didn't tell you so.